Hey y'all, I'm Derek, and welcome back to 31 Days of Found Horror. Okay, today we actually have a bit of a long one. It's an hour and 42 minutes long. On found footage films, that makes me a little bit nervous. It's called The Truth. Okay. Apparently we're gonna be hearing some truth today, folks. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I've noticed a trend. A lot of these movies don't know how to edit, and they don't know which storyline they want to pick. So the movie starts off with a 911 call. The 911 call is from our main character named Lucas. He's saying he's being followed, and then he just ends up in a ditch. There's photos of him at the scene where he's outside the car and he's got these holes all over his body, and he's just dead. It's not because of the car wreck, it looks like he got shot. And then we get the providence stating that on this specific date, Lucas died, and this has been edited only in the following ways. They've added captions when necessary. Okay. And we find out that this movie was actually made for YouTube. There's a little script at the bottom of the providence that says that this movie is in compliance with all of YouTube's community guidelines. That's a way to get your stuff out. I'm not mad at that. So then we cut to Lucas. He's driving and filming at the same time. Never do that. That's bad. And he's explaining that he's on his way home from college and he lives with his mother and grandmother. And while his mother and grandmother are on holiday, his mother has asked him to investigate this paranormal experience she had at the house. Because apparently he and his mother have both investigated paranormal activity in the past. Hey, it's a hobby. So he gets to the house and it's rather small. It's what we would call a bungalow, really. And he shows us each room. He goes to his room and he has a ton of monster cans on the wall. He likes anime and he has guns. And he has Nerf guns too. A lot more Nerf guns than he has real guns, but he has both of them just up on his wall because this is a guy who collects monsters. Why even ask? And then he explains that he really wants to prove that there's paranormal activity in this house because his grandmother is a skeptic. Okay, that's fine. I mean, you can believe in paranormal activity if you want, and your grandma can be a skeptic, but you don't have to go into an investigation with the goal to prove that it's real just to prove someone wrong. That sort of nullifies the entire investigation. You're going in with an opinion. And this movie is shot completely on a camera phone. So rule 3 of making a movie is you can use whatever you like to make the movie. Just know the ins and outs of what you're using. So I ain't mad about that. I am mad at this guy's fashion sense because all he wears is wife beaters. Day 1 occurs, nothing happens. It's a one-man show, so he's just a talking. Oh Lord. And he lists 5 possibilities for what the paranormal activity could be. 1, it could be nothing. 2, it could be a human entity. 3, it could be a demonic entity. 4, it could be a poltergeist. Or 5, it could be psychokinesis. Or 6, it could just be rambling, because he's rambling a lot. Ugh. So he's trying to make it seem genuine and unedited. That's fine. You can do that and still know how to edit. You can edit it so that it seems natural, because guess what? You can take more than one take. Yeah. So the next day, he goes out to the garage because all the garage doors are open and all of his tools are on. Oh my God! So he decides something's there, because no one could possibly have done that off camera. And he has a wife beater in every color. This is the second wife beater he's worn. So he sets up an EMF and a digital recorder, and he's going to do some voice capture. And the screen starts going crazy. The lights on the EMF keep going up and down. So after the experiment, he plays back what he has on the digital recorder, and it sounds like the classic sci-fi sounds you can get in the YouTube audio library for free. And after all that nonsense, he decides to go kayaking with his friend Joe. Yay! Let's go kayak. Actually, I do enjoy kayaking. I don't know why I'm trying to make that sound sarcastic. So they're kayaking, they kayak to this bridge, and they think they hear a car, but there's no car there. Ooh, could it be possible that you didn't film the car just passing? So then he gets home, and the table's upside down, and there's all this disarray. Okay. And then he does what I absolutely love. He explains everything that's already happened. Like we just didn't see it. If this continues happening, no wonder this movie is 1 hour and 42 minutes long. So he decides to narrow down his list to either a poltergeist or a demon. And those are the two he really didn't want because those are harder to get rid of. On the third day, he calls his family to ask about poltergeist activity because the lore of this movie is that poltergeists are the ethereal manifestation of mental trauma. So he's asking all about mental trauma. He knows his mom just went through a really bad breakup, so he thinks it's about that. So his mom says she's fine, and he just immediately disregards that because apparently women lie. So in other words, that entire conversation led nowhere. His friend Joe comes over so that they can go shoot guns. And he put this in here for reasons. I guess to explain how they go from there to the gas station where they just hang out. But it's complete chaff. They don't need this in the movie. It just bogs it down and stretches out that runtime. Then, after that wonderful scene of them shooting, they decide to go hang out at a gas station for a while. And there they meet up with Lucas's ex, who says last night she saw lights in this old house that's near his house, and it's been abandoned and all that. Ooh. So they go investigate this old house. And it's a squat. It's disgusting inside. I can literally feel the asbestos going into my lungs. And there's trash all over the place. It's just filthy. And it's tedious the way they just go from room to room to room explaining what they see when we can obviously see what they see. I hate this. Learn to edit. I honestly ask myself, what does this add to the story? That he lives next to a dingy old squat? Okay, good to know. And so he makes his way up to the attic, and he's alone in the attic because his ex, whose name's Maddie, and his friend Joe are downstairs, and all of a sudden he hears footsteps where there's nobody there. So he demands, "Show yourself!" And then he hears the voice, "You'll see soon enough." And he's like, "Oh!" So he's running through the house trying to find his friends. He can't find his friends. He goes outside and he's looking for his friends. He can't find his friends. His car's right there. Why doesn't he just honk the horn? But he doesn't do that. He just runs into the woods and he finds his friends, Maddie and Joe, who were just trying to get away to do some necking because they've been seeing each other for the last 5 months. But they come across a flat area of grass that they're trying to convince us is 5-pointed. So they're trying to make it seem like this is a satanic altar. So, ooh, you came across a deer bed. Yay, that's scary. But then they hear something, so they run back to the car, and I'm just asking, why are you filming this? And then they answer why they're filming this so they can get a quick jump scare of somebody who's not there banging on the door. So they turn on and they nope out. Then he's back in his room and he's explaining exactly what just happened again. And he's decided that it's demonic activity. And his camera's messing up. Ooh, haunting. So he decides that someone went over to that old house and summoned a demon, and the demon got bored and came over to his house. So he's just going to put up crucifixes that he gets from his friend Joe's parents because his parents are pastors. Easy fix, I guess. Then he goes to sleep. Day 4 comes around, and the dog... I forgot to mention, he has a dog named Lucky, and his dog's missing. Oh. At this point, I'm like, that's direct violation of Rule 2. Don't kill animals. And he starts going down this conspiracy rabbit hole. It's really bad. He starts thinking that the people who summoned the demon kidnapped the dog as a threat to make him stop doing what he's doing. So he just puts up the crucifixes and see if that helps. He gets home from looking for the dog. There's a handwritten note on the door that says, "You'll see him soon enough." So he thinks Joe is trying to play a trick on him. So he calls Joe, and Joe says, no, I'm not playing a trick on you, and that just goes nowhere. So he's put up the crosses, he's taking a shower. On the mirror, after he gets out of the shower, there is a symbol on the mirror in the steam that looks surprisingly like a cuckoo clock. I didn't realize cuckoo clocks were demonic. I know they're annoying, but they're not demonic. So he goes looking for the crosses, and none of them are there. And it's quite interesting because if you look closely, there are no nails for them to hang on. And there's no sign that there ever was. Could it be that they were never there? Because honestly, we never saw them. And then he passes by this curio cabinet, and inside the curio cabinet there's a note that says, they would have worked if we were demons. And he goes on this whole tangent about, how did it get in there? We lost the key a year ago. We are only taking your word about that. Honestly, we've not had anything in this story to make us believe that you're believable, so why should we believe you on that? So then that's the end of that segment. It cuts to day 5. And he spent the night over at Joe's house because he's just getting too freaked out. And his half-sister Natalie comes into the house and she's looking for something. They go upstairs and they hear someone downstairs. So Lucas goes downstairs to see what it is. And there's a sound. Ooh! Natalie runs into Lucas's room, and then Lucas comes up after her and is like, is everything okay? She's like, I heard a sound, I was scared. And then they turn over into his room and something kicks all of the monster cans off the wall. Good job, whatever you are, because you know what? That's disgusting. So he pushes Natalie out the door. She goes back home. And he knocks over a vase, and then he looks at the vase and he sees that there's blood on the vase and it's not his. And he comes to a realization. These things can bleed. So he goes looking for his guns. His guns are gone. He's looking for his keys. His keys are gone. And I literally thought, what are they gonna take from me? I ain't got no guns. I ain't got no keys. Freaky deaky. A Richard Pryor joke if you don't get it. So it cuts to Joe, who's filming himself going to pick up Lucas for reasons. He sees Lucas, and Lucas is in quite a state, saying that they have to get out of there right now. So Joe is like, all right. They get in the car and they go over to his house. But while they're on Joe's porch, they think they hear the dog. So they go grab them guns and go back to the house. Then they spend a good 3 or 4 minutes talking about what their weapons are capable of. And I'm just like, I don't need your weapon statistics. This is not Call of Duty. I don't care. Just go find the dog. And they find the dog. He's in a shed. And he's tied up to the shed wearing this sci-fi collar with lights on it. So Lucas is in the shed trying to help his dog out. Joe is outside and the door slams like no one's there. And Joe just yells, they're here! And shoots off a couple of rounds. And then we hear nothing. And then we look over and the dog's gone. Again. Oh my God. I guess it teleported out with his sci-fi collar. He can finally leave the shed and he goes outside and he sees a guy in a black Zentai. And he keeps calling them shadow people, but it's not a shadow person. It's an alien. Well, he gets knocked out. And then they wake up 2 days later. Everybody's back to normal. And he's freaked out because both he and Joe have missed 2 days. And Lucky's back too, so yay. And that's basically the end of the film, except there's a title card at the end that states Lucas is dead and everybody who is mentioned in this movie has gone missing. That's Joe, Joe's parents, his sister Natalie, his mom, his grandma, the dog. They're all just gone. The end. It was a haunted house movie that became an alien abduction movie. This was his first movie. Okay. You need to learn how to edit. You need to learn how to keep to one story. I'm a firm believer in Chekhov's gun, okay? If something's introduced in the first act, it has to be resolved by the third act. So, what did the sound of cars that only you heard mean? What was that supposed to tell us? What was the point of the symbol? What was the point of going to the old house? What was the point of leading us up the garden path about a demon? I don't know. It was convoluted and Honestly, it seemed like by the end he did not know how he was going to make it a demonic activity movie, so he just turned it into aliens. That's literally what I think happened. This one was a bit of a doozy, y'all. I need another Remnants, like, stat. And also, it falls into another found footage nightmare problem. Why are you filming certain things? Ugh. If they cut out everything that didn't need to be filmed and just show us the action, this movie would have been about an hour. And that would have been fine. It still would have been a movie we could have followed. But with all the chaff, it just made it so long it was not enjoyable to watch. So have you seen this movie? If so, drop me a line down below and tell me what you thought about it. And of course, if you want to see the movie, it will be linked in the description. So that's it for this episode of 31 Days of Found Horror. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for tuning in. And come back tomorrow for another found footage nightmare.